not upstairs. And the furnace went out. Guy came out yesterday to look at it. He's supposed to come back, never showed up. So I'm downstairs in my man cave. This is where I chill out often. I have all the lights on upstairs, ready to go, ready to do a program. But man, I came down here just maybe to take a couple of notes and kind of figure out what we're going to talk about. And I decided just, hey, I'll just do the program from down here today. It's kind of comfortable. And you know what? I didn't even take any notes. So we're just going to wing it today. I'm just like chilling. Literally chilling. So they're going to come fix this thing today, but in the meantime, man, I don't worry about stuff like this, man. You just got to roll with it. I remember it is around Christmas time, though, and you hate to spend money on a furnace, but I'm just glad. I mean, sometimes when we fret about things, but when we look back on our lives, we recognize that we're better off than we were before, you know. Where you're like, man, I hate to spend money on a furnace. But then I look back and I remember the time I wouldn't even had any money to spend on a furnace. So I think we need to begin being more grateful about our lives. You know, we can always look at a situation and be, you know how they say you look at a glass and it's either half full or half empty. Well, I tend to look at the glass being half full, and that's the way I've lived my life. I've always lived my life. I've never really cried too much over spilled milk. Situations where I've messed up or I've made mistakes. It even cost me a lot of money and stuff. They don't faze me that much. I'm not the kind of guy that looks back and laments over what happened or what I did wrong. I just look forward and it's like, well, what do I do now? If it's gone, it's gone. This is where I'm at now. Looking back doesn't help. And this is the way I've lived. This is what I've done. And I have to admit, when I was younger, I mean, I was like out there just doing stuff, crazy stuff, just having fun, having a great time, not and going one direction, but making a lot of mistakes. And not say, I mean, you know, most of us, I think, if we could look back and say, man, if I could have now all the money I blew, all the money, you know, that I just spent crazily, or, you know, drinking and getting high, or, you know, whatever kind of things, going out to clubs and all that stuff. Man, if you could just have all that money we wasted, we'd all be pretty well off right now, wouldn't we? Or maybe all the money we played on the number, I don't know. But I don't look back. I don't look back. It's half full. And so no matter what the inconvenience of this furnace is, it's going to be fixed later on today. And I'm just glad I can do it. My wife was like, well, what about Christmas? What about Christmas? Because we're so close to Christmas. I said, well, what we can do is just, you know, take a picture of our furnace and get a card for everyone and just put that picture in the card and just pass that card out. You never know. We'll take care of business. But things are not that bad. Unless, you know, like look, Obama's president. Man, I'm like looking at the news, I'm looking at this stuff with Iran, and I'm like really thrilled. And I was watching this thing on President Obama last night, and they were chronicling all the things that he promised from the time he was running for president the first time, even in the primaries, you know, against Hillary and all the way up until recently, where he said, you know, that he would get us out of Iraq and he would end the situation in Afghanistan. And that he wanted health care for all Americans, that he would go to the table and talk to Iran and Korea, and that man, he made all these promises, and the health care thing and all that, and it's like one by one they're all coming to fruition. But you know what? I was looking at that thing, and there's a lot of skeptics with that situation with Iran, and I hope that it turns out all right. But you know, I find it amazing how there are folks that are really, for you guys that don't know, I mean, Iran's been like one of our arch enemies for like 30 years or so. Now, they were one of our allies when we had them fighting, you know. I mean, it depends on everybody, even Iraq, you know, it depends on what's going on, you know, who we side ourselves with. But we have sort of been cool, trying to be cool with Iran over the past few years. But, you know, they're just uncooperative. So we've had, like, tremendous sanctions against them. Their nation is terribly suffering, and they are at the table now. You're talking about, you know, curbing their nuclear aspirations. But a lot of folks don't buy it. And a lot of folks are really mad at the administration and because they want a tougher stance against Iran. But you know what that's all about? I'm looking at these guys, man, and they want to humiliate Iran. I mean, we know this. Come on, we've lived in this nation. We know how folks are. See, I think that's the one up we have, especially as African Americans in this nation. We know how we've been treated. That's why even when they were going into claiming weapons of mass destruction, with Saddam Hussein, which they never found, many of us truly in our heart of hearts believed that there were no weapons of mass destruction. And especially the African American community. We knew, because how many times had we been accused of things that are trumped up? How many black folks in prison, for raping a white woman, was his girlfriend till her family came knocking at the door. There have been too many black folks that have gone to prison that have been lynched historically over trumped up charges. So when this man Saddam Hussein was saying, I ain't got no weapons, and we're saying, yes, you do, most African Americans in this nation pretty much knew, because we could empathize with this man. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was an evil man, but historically, you look at the history in this nation and the genocide of the Native Americans and the enslavement of Africans and the many, many other evils done at the hands of folks in this nation. Come on, some of our founding fathers and Saddam Hussein, and you can compare them, and Saddam Hussein probably wouldn't have been the worst. Okay, some of the folks that we find as heroes. I think we just celebrated Columbus Day recently. Saddam Hussein had nothing on Christopher Columbus. Trust me. We have this way of the victor gets to write history the way they choose. But you delve into some history books on Christopher Columbus or even access some Native American sites and then try to validate the stories that they're saying. We have access to history and historical documents with the internet now. You could find the truth if you search for it. You'll recognize that Christopher Columbus was a murderer and a thief. And Saddam Hussein had nothing on him. And we celebrate Christopher Columbus every year. Pilgrims the same. Come on now. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. By the time you watch this program, Thanksgiving will be past. A couple of weeks. But come on now. There's an old saying, I think it's for Africa, but it could apply to this nation as well. How you came here, we had the land and you have the Bibles. Now we have the Bibles and you have the land. That's why it's always even laughable to me where the stance that we take about illegal immigration. It's like a thief steals somebody's money, and then the rest of his life he's coming down hard on thieves. Okay, and so I'm just saying that if you take a guy that is a thief and say he has stolen millions of dollars from an innocent man, and then say 5 generations later his children are prospering very well, and the children and the grandchildren of the man who was stolen from, his children are suffering. I mean, does this guy owe, do these children owe these anything? Oh, well, I didn't steal it. My great-great-granddaddy did. Now, I'm not saying that there really is anything these kids over here need to do, even though they are benefiting tremendously from ill-gotten booty. I think we, in all humility, in all honesty, need to recognize that this country was stolen, was built on blood, sweat, and tears. The nation was stolen from Native Americans. It was built on the backs of slaves. And today we want to say this is our land. you're coming here illegally? Come on now. I mean, now look. Now I'm doing okay. And so I think a lot of times we want to sit back and, well, I'm doing okay, so let's just not rock the boat. I mean, and you know, and that's true. My kids are fine, I'm fine, we're doing well. But the truth is truth. Personally, I don't have that much problem with Mexicans. I like Mexicans. Matter of fact, my grandfather was an illegal alien, okay, on my mother's side. His name was Martinez. My first name was named after his last name. So, I mean, I don't have any problem. I look at the world as being just one world with all humanity on this world, the human race. And it's because of our greed that we have separated this planet, and we have hoarded the natural resources, where we have so many resources on this planet that could feed and clothe everyone on this planet. But certain people have abundance and certain people have nothing, okay? That's that whole economics thing. Why do we have economics? Because of the scarcity. There is no real scarcity. The scarcity is because folks that have are hoarding, like oil and just natural resources and all. And making a profit, making some money. That's what it's about. That's cool. I think as individuals, especially as African Americans, we just need to maintain a proper mind about this stuff and not get lost and hung up in that. Now, I'm saying as far as what we've done and what we've accomplished in this nation, I mean, it's been a great thing, because we came here in a very negative situation, and we have prospered, many of us. And I think it's time for the rest of us to prosper as well. We just need to get a new mindset. You know, since the election, the last election is over, you know, I mean, I'm not political, okay, really. I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I really kind of don't care, okay. We just needed a black president, and he was a bright brother, and the competition was, he had no competition, so it was easy, it was an easy pick. It was quite interesting how I remember Sean Hannity from that Fox network was all tripping because 99% of the African Americans, you know, were going for Barack Obama. Doesn't that tell you something? Yeah. They were happy we had this smart brother in there, and his opponents were kind of dumb they were not quite up to his level. See, most of us as African Americans in this nation were raised to believe, and we were told by our parents, that in order to get the same job as a non-African American, as a white man, that you have to be 10 times better than that man. And this is what we were told. And we know that it's true. If you're on the same level of wellness as the white guy that you're going for this job, if you have the same level of education and everything, all things are equal, you're not going to get that job, okay? You got to be so much better that there is no question. That's why Ali could get in there and decimate Jerry Corey, get in there and decimate a man to where there's no question. Just like, how many boxing matches have you seen where you watch it and you know it was close, but you know this guy won, but they gave it to that guy? In order for a black man to take the presidency in the United States, he had to be way better than his opponents till there was absolutely no question. So yeah, 99% of the black folks voted for Obama. We were glad he was 10 times better than this guy. And the folks that didn't, come on now. I'm not going to judge the heart of a man. But you know, see what I've learned, I think maybe I've learned through this political debates, because we've seen all the stuff, all the garbage thrown at Obama, like socialism and Muslim and hates America and all this garbage. And we've argued, and I've argued it, you know, during the process on Facebook and, you know, face to face with people as well, arguing, and they're arguing, and we're arguing, and back and forth, back and forth. You know what? I came to realize, especially after the last election where I could just chill, is that most of the time when you're arguing with someone, and it's a matter of morality, and it's a matter of honesty, and you know, like this Obama stuff, everybody, the fact is, when you're arguing with somebody like that, don't quit trying to convince them, because they know. They're just doing that. They're just talking that mess. There's no reason to argue, because they already know. And so you're just wasting your breath. They know. Like with Obama, they know. any of the things, any of the changes that Obama has done and the things that Obama has proposed and accomplished, if it had been somebody else, you know what I'm saying, somebody else, if it had been somebody else, it wouldn't have been met with so much venom. When he became president that first time, and Mitch McConnell stood up there, the leader of the Republicans, and said that it was going to be his focus simply to make Obama a one-term president. I have never heard, I mean, I'm not that old. I just turned 55 a couple of weeks ago, but I have never heard anyone of any party ever say that about anyone. Why Obama? We know. So there's no reason to argue it. There ain't even no reason to get mad. I'm sitting there, I enjoy listening to Tom Joyner and Roland Martin and Al Sharp. Well, Al Sharp, I'm glad he's successful. I enjoy listening to some of these brothers. And every time something comes up, they're complaining. Can't believe this white man said this. Can't believe they said that. Who cares what they say? We won. I mean, come on, man. I mean, if you think about it, all our focus was for that first, I mean, I raised money for Obama. We did what we could. And hoped and prayed and hoped and talked to folks and did all we could. He became president the first time. And then we went through it again. He became president the second time. We won. Why are we tripping? Why are we so amazed over the terrible things that people are saying? Did that just start? Come on, how many names have you been called? It's just about a week ago on Facebook, there was this elderly gentleman that posted on there, you know, what things do you remember in your life that you'll never forget, you know? And what I posted was the first time I was called the N-word, okay? And I was 8 years old. It was 1966. I was living in Junction City, Kansas, Fort Riley. My father was in Vietnam. And I was playing with a bunch of my friends who happened to be all white. But at that time, I didn't even know they were white. I didn't even know I was black. These were just my friends. They were kids. It wasn't even an issue in my mind. And this one boy, his name was Robert. Now imagine that. Out of all the people I've forgotten, this kid was my friend. He called me that name. And I didn't even know what it was. So, I mean, I didn't even respond. I didn't even know what it was till later. So whatever they say about Obama, or whatever they say about black people, or whatever they insinuate about black folks, why are we tripping? There's a black man that's president of the United States of America, and he has lived up to his word. And you know, every president that we have had, what amazes me, even John F. Kennedy recently celebrating him because of the assassination and all, so many years later, the anniversary, that he was a philanderer. He was a cheater on his wife, had affairs, Marilyn Monroe. He wasn't a good man. Whatever they say. And so then you look at Bill Clinton. I like Bill. I think I like Bill when he came out on the stage on our Arsenio Hall show with his shades playing the saxophone. You know, I played saxophone. I like Bill. I didn't even really, you know, Reagan was all right, but but as you go into each of these folks' history, they all have Reagan left his wife. I think her name was Jane Wyman or something. He left his wife. He cheated on his wife with Nancy Reagan. Then he married Nancy Reagan. Kennedy was a cheater. Clinton was a cheater. Let me see. I don't, you know, as we go back, Nixon, you know, was a big old cheater, right? Reagan, you know, Iran-Contra, you know, Watergate, Nixon. We have all these issues and all these things that were dug up on all these people that had done so much dirt. Barack Obama, come on now, with Google and history and all the people of all the things. Look, if he had done stuff, if he had stepped out on Michelle, if he had had babies out of wedlock, if he had done this or done that, do you think we wouldn't have known about it? Come on, they went so far as to be making stuff up about the man because they couldn't find any real stuff about him. And they ragging on him. He's a good man. So not only is he African American, that has made certain promises, the things that he was going to do, He has fixed the Supreme Court with women and women of color, Sotomayor, and he has put African Americans and white folks as well, and women, and even try to take Republicans and mix them into into his administration and onto his team. He has done good. He has been good. He is a man that has pretty much been beyond reproach, because Fox News would have dug anything up that they could. They even went so far as to make stuff up. Come on now. What are we complaining about? We got no complaints. Everything is cool. Now we need to get ourselves together. Now, although I said I'm not political, I was thinking the other day as I was in walking meditation. I'm the mailman, right? I'm walking meditation every day, okay? I was thinking about the politics and about myself, and I was thinking, I think as far as money is concerned, I think as far as business is concerned, I think even as far as welfare, what we call handouts, entitlements, transitional payments from the government, whatever we want to call them. That I feel like I'm a Republican in that sense, but I have a heart, and I think that takes me out of what they call the Republican Party, because I don't. Even though you might feel things should be a particular way, you can't disregard people and say, "Oh well, you're out there, and we're going to go this way." So maybe I do believe maybe the welfare system is being taken advantage of, but it's being taken advantage of because of the way people think is just kind of jacked up, and you have to affect that. You have to affect people seeing themselves well, seeing the potential that they have in their lives to become something greater than they are, to become, say, entrepreneurs, that there is money to be made, that there is honest money to be made. You don't have to just sit back and get free money. You will feel better about yourself working. So I don't believe you can just cut people off and because this is not the way it's supposed to be. This may be the way it's supposed to be, but these are American citizens that have to be taken care of as well. So we have to find a way to get their minds to change. Not in a harsh way, not in a mean way, not in a negative way. See, getting back to Iran and the people of Iran, the reason why certain politicians and people are up in arms about this deal that's been cut with Iran that hopefully will lead to something even greater in the future is that we want folks to be humiliated. We want folks to be put down. We want folks to be put in their place. And that's not diplomacy. That's not wellness. And that will never create a situation that is healthy, whether it's on a diplomatic level with other nations or it's on a personal domestic level with the citizens of our own nation that might be on programs that we might deem are just sucking the life and energy and finances out of our economy. So we just need to find a way, and I think that's as African Americans we do need to wake up. We do need to begin to see that it's not good to simply be getting free checks, free money from the government. We need to be finding another way. That's all I'm saying. And so I'm suggesting that this is where our thought needs to be. This is what we need to meditate about. This is what we need to be, again, communicating with each other about. How can we be better? I'm looking in the neighborhoods, and I see a lot of the parents of children, even the troubled children. I was at Dunbar High School yesterday. I deliver mail there. I'm their mailman as well. And as I was walking in yesterday, a mother was coming out with her son, and she was exacerbated. She was really yelling at him in his case because he hadn't even given this school a chance, and he was in trouble. And I don't know what the details of the situation of his life, but parents, a lot of parents know that education is a key factor. Now, the reality of the situation is the education in our public school system, for the most part, is so jacked up, the kids are still not going to be in a place to compete with kids that have come out of private schools and better neighborhoods. But if you don't even get the high school diploma, your situation is going to be totally jacked up. You're not going to be well. And you're not going to be a plus or a positive, an asset to society. You're going to be a liability to society. We look at the jails and prisons, you know, and I know that there's a disparity among, as far as the races go, where everybody isn't treated the same for the same crimes. I know there's been a lament from a lot of African Americans that a lot of black folks are in prison for things that white folks don't go to prison for. And so my remedy for that situation is not to let the black folks out of prison, but just to start putting more white folks in prison. Because if you do the crime, I mean, if you're a criminal, you should not be walking around in regular society where people are trying to do right. If you're a victimizer, you shouldn't be in society. So I don't believe that folks should be let out. I just believe that more folks need to be put in, like some of the white folks that are not getting the same sentences need to be. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But if you commit crimes, against society, if you take something from someone who has actually been working the right way for that thing, you don't need to be in society. If you could actually hurt somebody, shoot somebody, or kill somebody, hurt somebody that's trying to do the right thing, you shouldn't be in society. And you need to change. And what I'm suggesting is you can change. Change is there. I've changed. I mean, I never like hurt me, you know, that kind of thing, or stole from people or that kind of thing, but I wasn't always a good person. You can change. I know there's an old saying, an old Asian saying that one's own nature cannot be disowned. If it could, it would not be one's own nature. But certain of our character traits and our personality traits are not our nature. Our nature is deeper than that. The things that we learn, that we're given to learn in the environments that we were raised in, and the associations that we have had and the experiences that we've gone through, that's not our nature. Our nature is a thing of survival, to keep us alive, to keep us to survive. I knew this guy. Years ago, we had an apartment complex in the city, like a 4-unit. And one of the young men in that complex, well, he was actually, his uncle was living there, but he was living there with him. He was just a nice kid, you know, underage kid, probably 16, 17 years old. And every time I go to collect the rent, the uncle was never there, and this kid was looking pitiful, like, I don't have it, and my uncle isn't here. I couldn't evict that young man, and I never did. Because maybe I'm the wrong guy to be a landlord. I don't know, but I couldn't do that. And I kept giving him a break, because it's just that. Now that, I think, is part of my nature, okay? I think that's in all of our nature, is to have mercy. To recognize the relationship we have with each other as human beings, but I think the experiences that we have begin to curb and change, affect our personalities, that we end up going against our true nature, okay? But what I saw later on is this young man, years later, in the neighborhood, all beefed up and built up and doing things that he shouldn't be doing in the neighborhood. But what I saw really is a young man that was in a situation that had to survive, and he built himself up, and now in his little clique he's running things, and he and I are cool now, simply because we have this little secret. We remember way back before he was tough and how I cut him a break so many times. But we do survive, and we do adjust because of the situations that we are exposed to, but our adjustments are not our nature. And I think that we can just, to me, it's the rationalizing process. And this might seem kind of naive to many folks, but I believe that you could really, if you sit down one-on-one, you can and talk to, I don't just mean one time, really rationalize and talk, and a man can change. Like I know myself, when I'll be sitting before there's my wife. I'm sitting before a motivational speaker or in church or something. I don't need a notebook or a pencil and paper. I can just say, hey, that makes sense. And at that moment, I'm changed. And I think that if we can talk and rationalize and reason with each other, that we can all be well. Anyway, I got to go. That's my wife calling me. I got to take my daughter to school right now. But I do appreciate you for, I told you the furnace went out. And so they're at their mother's house. I got to get her and go take her to school. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Stuff happens. But anyway, I hope you got something out of this program. I do want to thank you for joining me and listening, and I want to invite you to